Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atheist Sunday School, your one-stop shop for everything Atheist Sunday and school. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today, we are joined by the always intelligent, the always beautiful, the always stunning Landon Noll.
Sound effects.
Yes, please sound effect that stuff. There it is.
There we go. We have applause. Sound effects.
Oh. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone and latitude and other things. And hello from your friendly secular astronomer. Glad to be here.
Well, it's always nice to have you. How about we hop into the 100-point show?
Yeah, let's do that right now.
Yes, while we are waiting for people to get here and watch the show.
Oh, by the way.
Oh, okay.
My last 100-point show question. Sarah was
90. Yeah, I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
And
I couldn't find it in this little Bible.
I guessed how long she lived, and apparently it was only 30 more years. I said 120, and now it's how long she lived. Well, it's pretty funny to find out.
Wonderful.
What is the name of today's WWE show?
SmackDown.
No.
I tried.
Wrong.
No. What's your answer, Landon?
WWE Live?
No, but that's no. The answer is NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2.
How the fuck was I supposed to?
If I was a dedicated wrestling fan, I would have known that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, damn.
Okay. Mega Man Battle Network 3 for the Game Boy Advance had 2 editions. What were they?
4 and 5.
No.
Damn.
No. Editions, not additions.
Oh, okay.
2 plus 2. No.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
Nope.
Damn.
Got it wrong. Chris, you have a guess?
Alpha and Beta.
No.
Damn.
Blue
First and second?
blue and white.
Blue and white. Wow.
Mm.
How was I supposed to know that?
You were supposed to know. I guess a
Landon
true
really-
Mega Man Battle Network
I guess.
fan would know.
All right, Landon, I guess it's off to you.
Well, today's 100-point show question is involving the country of Nigeria. And I'll give you a choice.
Wow.
There's 2 possible things. One is a question which there are 4 answers. You can get 25 points each, or you can go for the person who is the closest to the number. Would you like the closest to the number or the one where you can do 4 parts?
Let's do closest to the number.
Closest to the number.
Okay. Transparency International ranks Nigeria as the least corrupt out of 176 countries on its list. What position does Transparency International rank Nigeria in terms of being the least corrupt? So the first least corrupt would be the least corrupt, right? So 176 would be the most corrupt. Where do you think Transparency International ranks Nigeria?
I'm going to go with 100th because it's the 100-point show.
I'm going to go with 99.
I'm going to go with 10 because it's like a base. It's a good base.
And is there any numbers in the chat that have
no numbers in the chat.
No numbers in the chat.
Okay, so the Transparency International ranks Nigeria as the 136th least corrupt.
136th. Wow.
Oof.
Out of 176.
If I would have just went 101.
Right. So I guess I get the points this time around. It is my time to shine.
Yes. So congratulations. I figured I would try to give something where we could get more points because world needs more points.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So today we are going to go over some more Psalms.
Yep, we're in the second book of Psalms. Today I'm using the King James Version of the Bible.
I have the English Standard Version of the Bible. Landon, what do you have?
I will be using the New American Standard Bible Reference Edition, a J.J. Holman Company division of the L.B. Lipcott Company, Philadelphia and New York. It's copyrighted.
Fantastic.
It's copyrighted. And the last time it was copyrighted was in 1973. So be careful of those copyright strikes.
Ooh.
We also have the Holy Scriptures, according to some Jews. We got the New King James Version.
We also have the Robert Alter version of the Hebrew Bible, a translation with commentary.
With commentary. It's a great commentary.
Open that up. We
I will.
also have Eerdmans.
Yes, we have Eerdmans' commentary on the Bible, which we use quite a lot. It's pretty good. We have the Oxford Companion to the Bible. We have Psalms Old and New by Ben Witherington. We have The Origins of Biblical Monotheism from Mark S. Smith. And we also have On the Book of Psalms by Nahum Sarna, which we will actually be using today.
Wow, we're actually using Sarna?
Yes, just a little
Lawrence
bit, though.
loves Sarna.
I do not love Sarna. I can't stand Sarna. I think he's a bad person.
He thinks you're a bad person.
Yes, he does. And then we also have the New Testament Survey.
New Testament Survey and some other books we're not using.
Yeah, we're not going to use them today. Yeah, that's quite a lot. Maybe some announcements, however.
Announcements.
Yes.
Our 666 donation drive is currently at
About 470.
about 470.
Well, that's been pretty stagnant.
Yeah, it's been pretty stagnant.
And what will people who contribute to this donation drive be contributing towards?
Oh,
They will be contributing towards us trying alchemy.
yeah, we're gonna
Transmutation
try
of
and
any kind.
transmute minerals to other minerals or something.
No, we
I
gotta
don't
try.
know.
We gotta try to make gold. It's got to be as stereotypical
Okay,
as possible.
Well, we need the Philosopher's Stone to do that.
We'll get it.
Oh,
It can cost less than $666,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
I don't think
bet.
so.
Yeah.
Why not?
And how would people contribute to this fund?
Oh, well, see, there are two amazing ways to do this. You see, the first one is right in the chat. There's this little $sign next to the smiley face, which has all the emojis.
And if you click the dollar
thing?
sign, it allows you to send us
donate.
money.
Yes, and then the other way is there's a link in the description to Streamlabs, and you can donate that way as well.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the donation drive. I have begun writing the Council of Constantinople script. It's probably going to be pretty long, honestly. I have a lot to cover. And some of it, I'm looking over it, and I think, I could probably cut this or that, but I don't feel like I should because, all that context is necessary, and I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be quite a long video, but that's okay. That's great.
It's going to be at least 2 hours long.
Probably not. It's not going to be 2 hours long.
Oh, it's going to be at least 10 minutes long.
Yes, at the very least. I'd be surprised if it did not get to 10 minutes.
Wonderful.
What else we got here? Oh, also, till the end of the month, our Teespring, you can get 10% off any order if you use the promo code
Look. All caps. LOOK. It is the inferior version of Behold.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got the esoteric Nazism video still being in the works.
Yeah, I'm probably going to...
Abandoned ship?
I'll talk to you about it afterwards.
We'll talk about it afterwards.
Because there's a lot on Blavatsky, and I don't know if I just want to do a thing on Blavatsky first.
Sure.
Or if I want to have it as like a footnote at the beginning.
I think a thing on Blavatsky by herself would be pretty interesting and would drive a lot of views.
Yeah. Anyways.
And, we have a Patreon hangout afterwards. And if you want to join in on that.
If you want to come chill with us and
Landon's going to be there.
Landon's going to be there. He's going to answer.
We'll talk about constants.
Yeah.
We're going to
Constantly.
We're going to break logic.
That's our job, apparently.
As efficiently as possible.
Yeah. So, if you become a patron of the necessary rank, I think that's Hangouts is $20 and up, I think, for access to those. So if you do that, then you'll be part of it. Yeah, welcome to the Hangout.
Welcome to the Hangout.
Yeah,
later.
We've been doing this for a while, though. how about we hop into the Psalms?
Yeah, I was just about to suggest that.
Great.
Let's get started. Psalm 48, a song and psalm for the sons of Korah. Usually, well, that's odd because you think of psalms generically being songs.
Yeah.
And mine also says a song of love, in addition to.
Oh.
Yeah, mine does not say Song of Love.
Does anyone say anything about that?
No.
Oh.
It says, for the fire director, according to the show Shananim, a meskil of the sons of Korah, a song of love.
Oh, wow. That's quite different.
A song celebrating the king's marriage.
Oh, that was the last one we did.
Yeah, that was something. This is
sorry. Wrong number. I sit corrected. Okay. This one is just a song of the sons of Korah.
Great. Yeah. Okay, we're all back on track.
All right, let's get into it. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. You know, these holy mountains that they keep referencing.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, we keep coming across verses of Handel's Messiah. He borrowed heavily from the Psalms. If anyone knows that great oratory work.
Which one was that again?
These are our words that are in Handel's Messiah.
Oh, I did not know that.
I've never heard of that, but all right, fair enough.
All right. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great king.
So there's quite a lot that we can talk about here.
Yeah. So where is it?
So in Alter's version, verse 3, lovely in heights, all the earth's joy, Mount Zion, far end of Zaphon, the great king's city. So that's that version.
Mine says beautiful in elevation, the joy of the whole earth is the Mount Zion in the far north, the city of the great king.
Yeah, mine, the English Standard Version is a lot closer to that. But let's talk about Zaphon, because that pops up quite a bit.
Zaphon.
Yeah. Now, of course, the KJV apparently doesn't have that.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's inferior.
I only have Zion.
I understand that you only have Zion. So we can talk about Zaphon a bit here. So I'm going to reference a couple things. I have actually quite a lot to look through. First, just to get this out of the way, let's see what Sarna says on this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So to the psalmist, Mount Zion is, quote, fair crested. The image is that of a mountain rising to a great height. In fact, it is of rather modest, unimpressive elevation. Of course, no biblical writer or audience would have failed to realize that the language employed was poetic and mythic, not intended to be understood literally. Sacred mountains were conceived to be channels of communication between the world of the divine and the world of human beings. This conception is well illustrated by the names of temples in Mesopotamia, those ziggurats, or temple towers, that were architectural representations of mountains. Thus, the temple of Inanna in Nippur was known as Duranki, the bond of heaven and earth. That of Marduk in Babylonia was called Temenanki, the house, foundation, platform of heaven and earth. At Asher, there was the house, mountain of the universe, and at Larsa, the house, link of heaven and earth. In light of this ancient Near Eastern tradition, also reflected in Jacob's dream at Bethel, our psalmist can refer to Mount Zion rhetorically and ideally as a place of high elevation, irrespective of its actual height. And also there's a lot of, just being close to gods in general. Mm-hmm. If we think about, Zeus, for example, like these are just ways that you can get closer to the deities.
Yeah.
You can keep reading while I pull up a few other things here from Smith.
Where is Mount Zion? Is it actually a physical mountain, or is it just a mineral spot?
I'm pretty sure it's an actual physical mountain.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a physical mountain.
Yeah.
There's tons of hills and mountains and stuff in the Middle East.
Oh, did you get a message, Landon?
Are we under attack?
Aliens. Ooh.
So I do have a little bit more here. This is from because I just thought that Mount Zaphon part is pretty interesting. Indeed, biblical tradition shows a reliance on the particulars of Baal's mythology. In this category may be placed biblical references to the cosmic entities such as Leviathan, Sea, and Tanin. Moreover, Psalm 48:3 identifies Mount Zaphon, Baal's home in the Ugaritic texts, with Zion. Scholars generally accept the view that these details point to the continuity and modification of older traditions about Baal. In view of such shared specifics, one may ask why the Bible lacks a comparable mythology of the chief god with respect to the underworld and the god of death. Like the Baal cycle, the Bible is replete with speculations about the nature of the underworld and the god of death. Perhaps the best-known biblical texts are there are two references: Isaiah, Jeremiah, Habakkuk, and then Psalm 49 as well. Unlike the Baal cycle, the Bible contains few references to, much less any substantial mythology about, the conflict between the chief deity of Israel and the god of death. So that was just a bit more on that, the relationship to Baal.
Mm-hmm. God is known in her palaces for a refuge, her being Mount Zion, I guess, or the city of the great king.
Sure.
Right. For lo, the king.
So why is her palaces being used?
That was a common way to refer to Jerusalem as a she, in Israel altogether as a she, and that pops up quite a lot actually. Of course, I mean,
why Jacob changed his name. It's a chick now.
You weren't here for the episode that we covered the marriage. But there was this, divine marriage, and that was about Israel and the king of Israel. So it's like
that. For lo, the kings were assembled; they passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain, as of a woman in travail.
Labor.
Okay. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Salah. The breaking the ships of Tarshish.
Yes.
East wind. Is this a reference to an actual historical event?
I don't know. So on this, Alter says the east wind blowing from the desert proverbially brings trouble. Tarshish, which has been located by different scholars at various places from Asia Minor to Iberia, is somewhere to the west on the Mediterranean, though the phrase could conceivably refer not to the port of embarkation, but to the design of the ships. Weird. It doesn't really say much about Tarshish in Erdman's. Doesn't actually say anything about it at all. What a shame.
What a shame. As we have heard. Okay, so after this, Salah, right?
Yeah.
We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments.
Yeah, so again, one of these things about right-handed stuff versus left-handed being evil or the devil.
right hand of justice and whatever.
Yeah.
So and so. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments.
Oh, here's actually something. So the Hebrew tzedek can also mean victory or bountiful act. That's a justice there.
Oh, all right. Walk about Zion and go round about her. Tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well her bulwarks, consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following.
So one of the interesting things here is this fourth strophe is a summons to view the city and to scrutinize it, walk about Zion.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose is to keep the tradition alive by telling it to the next generation and by confessing that the Lord is God and that he has proved himself to be a guide and a protector of his people forever and ever. Even though if you actually read the book, you know that's not even like an accurate portrayal of God.
Mm. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. And that's the end of Psalm 48.
So a little bit about the last part. The very last word of the poem, al-mut, is obscure. It might mean over death, but the preposition and the vocalization of the noun would be anomalous. Some scholars read it as alamut, a musical term, but it would be odd to have such a term at the end of a psalm rather than at the beginning. The translation follows the suggestion of Mitchell Dahoud and others that it has the same sense as le'olam, forever. Which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be too weird if it was at the end because, Salah is in there, right?
Right.
But I don't know, maybe that's like a different thing altogether. Maybe they wrote that differently. I don't know.
Who knows?
Probably someone who has read this in Hebrew.
Yeah, probably Robert Alter.
Yeah, probably Robert Alter. So that was Psalm 48. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please drop a like, subscribe if you haven't.
Share it with your friends, family, neighbors, enemies. Especially your enemies.
Your enemies, yeah. I'm going to hand over some of this stuff to you.
Yeah, toss it over here.
So share it even to
eyesore
your
of a
landlord
Bible away.
and professors and other sorts of things. Yes, please
Yes,
share.
your landlords.
Share it with your landlords and professors.
Yeah. All right. I will hop into Psalm 49. To the choir master, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Hear this, all peoples, give ear, all inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak wisdom, the meditation of my heart shall be understanding. I will incline my ear to a proverb. I will solve my riddle to the music of the lyre. So, this is a bunch of different ways to say the same thing pretty much.
Yeah.
No way. That can't be true. I don't believe you.
Amazing.
First of all, it's wisdom psalm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Which would make sense. He's talking about solving a riddle, and his heart will have understanding, and he says that he'll speak wisdom. Yeah, sounds like a wisdom psalm to me.
Yeah.
Why should I fear in times of trouble, when the iniquity of those who cheat me surrounds me, those who trust in their wealth and boast of the abundance of their riches? Truly no man can ransom another, or give to God the price of his life.
So Eerdmans has a bit on this. It says, the psalmist apparently lives in a society where wealth is highly respected and in which the perception exists that wealth can give one permanence, security, and power. One might also deduce from the psalm that there was tension between the rich and the poor. The truth that the psalm attempts to convey is that death is the great equalizer. People cannot take their wealth with them to the grave. They must leave it behind for others. However, Psalm 49 is not a rejection of wealth as such, but rather a rejection of those who place all their trust in wealth, which happens later on in verse 6.
Sure.
And who believe that they can put everything right with wealth. Further goes on to say, the contrast can be most clearly seen when one looks at the use of the word ransom in the psalm. The high and the wealthy cannot ransom their life in death, or from death. The humble who trust in God are ransomed by him. I guess this appears.
Yeah, and then there's
too.
there's the second one here.
Yes.
So truly no man can ransom another or give to God the price of his life, for the ransom of their life is costly and can never suffice, that he should live on forever and never see the pit. For he sees that even the wise die, the fool and the stupid alike must perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their graves are their homes forever, their dwelling places to all generations, though they called lands by their own names. Man in his pomp will not remain. He is like the beasts that perish. So very much acknowledging his own mortality.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is the path of those who have foolish confidence, yet after them people approve of their boasts. Salah.
Well, let's say that's attack on smart people.
Yeah, so it says in altars for verse 13, 14.
Also, Angry Orchard, sponsor us.
Yeah, right.
Please. This way of theirs is their foolishness, and after in words alone they show favor. Salah. And he says in the commentary, the Hebrew of this entire verse is not intelligible. Literally, it reads, and after them in their mouth they show favor.
What the hell does that mean?
The text has
They had a good oral time.
After them in their mouth, they show favor.
Yeah. The text
so
Big smile.
They're like bootlickers.
Yeah. He says about it, the text has almost certainly been scrambled here, but no attempt to reconstruct the original is very convincing. Even the Salah at the end line does not mark any logical division in the poem.
Yeah, it is kind of weird where it is. Anyways, like sheep, they are appointed for Sheol. Death shall be their shepherd, and the upright shall rule over them in the morning. Their form shall be consumed in Sheol, with no place to dwell. But God will ransom my soul from the power of Sheol, for he will receive me. This picture of Sheol is a little different than the idea we've already gotten. Because it's not simply this separation from God, right? It's a place where their form shall be consumed in Sheol. I don't know if that means like it'll be part of like one bigger thing, like some Brahman bullshit.
No, you're gonna rot in the ground.
Maybe it's I don't think it's rotting in the ground exactly.
Aw, man.
Maybe because
What
Sam
line are you referencing there?
14? 14, yeah.
14.
Verse 14.
My 15.
Because
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and mine has references also to saying Sheol or netherworld, and it's talking about away from his habitation, right? Being separated from God, but not necessarily sort of the place of torment.
Well, yeah. It's not hell at this point in history. It is separation from God, but they're describing it a little bit differently than the ways it's been described before, because I don't know if consumed here means more like a Brahman becoming part of one thing, or if it means just like locked or trapped.
I don't have the word consumed in here.
What do you have?
Like sheep to Sheol they head, death shepherds them, and the upright hold sway over them in the morn.
Okay.
And they wear out their image in Sheol, a habitation for them. But God will ransom my life. From the grip of Sheol, he will take me.
Okay, so yours is closer to, well, yeah, that actually makes it sound more like, losing yourself and who you are and stuff, which would be kind of, strange because presumably Samuel was in Sheol when he died, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Saul, there's that whole Witch of Endor narrative, and Samuel comes up and he's still Samuel.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit different, I think.
Right. He has a little bit here on their image. He says the translation assumes Suratam, their image, instead of the Masoretic Suram, their rock. The verb wear out attached to this noun is the infinitive in the Hebrew, still another oddity in this perplexing text. So apparently this is strange to alter.
Yeah, it is just a strange verse overall. And he even said that, earlier the Hebrew was scrambled in one place.
That makes sense. They show pleasure in their mouth. It's wonderful.
Anyways, yeah, but God will ransom my soul for the power of Sheol, for he will receive me, Selah. Be not afraid when a man becomes rich, when the glory of his house increases. For when he dies, he will carry nothing away. His glory will not go down after him. For though while he lives, he counts himself blessed, and though you get praise when you do well for yourself, his soul will go to the generation of his fathers, who will never again see light. Man in his pomp, yet without understanding, is like the beasts that perish. So obviously, don't care about wealth too much, because it's just all going to go away. And you can't, and this I found interesting. So I think it's an Erdman's commentary. They were saying, you can't bring the stuff you have in life to death with you. And I'm like, well, who doesn't think that? The Egyptians.
Right. Right. Yeah. On my verse 19, I think your verse 18, for his own self he blesses when alive and acclaims you for giving him bounty.
Yes, I think that's my verse 18, yeah.
Yeah, this says, this is another line of the psalm in which the individual words are comprehensible, but not the way they fit together. If the received text is correct, the meaning might be, while he was alive, this man, proud of his riches, congratulated himself and also conceded thanks to God for his prosperity, revocalizing the verb acclaim from its plural form to a singular.
So just another weird.
The man
sentence.
Congratulates himself for his riches, and then God reminds him you're gonna die.
Yeah. The speaker regards such a man as exhibiting a highly dubious piety.
Dubious piety.
Dubious piety.
So unless you have some more commentary on that, we can probably hand it off to Landon, unless you got something.
Yeah. I mean, Erdman's just says that the psalm was probably meant to be preached to poor people.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
It's like we get that you're poor. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, but I say, but while we're doing this chapter transition, some people could also click on that like button that's there, the little thumbs up thing.
That'd be great. We'd really appreciate that.
Yes, and I will be right back.
Oh, all right. I see. You're just leaving. Yeah. Oh, man. Can't believe him. All right, okay. Landon, we will hand over the reins to you for Psalm 50.
Psalm chapter 50. God, the judge of the righteous and the wicked. Psalm Asaph.
Yeah, so
the mighty one.
Just one thing here.
Sorry.
Yeah. On Asaph here. Psalm 50 is one of the psalms which bears the title A Psalm of Asaph. There's also Psalm 73 through 83 where the same title appears. According to Chronicles, Asaph was an important temple singer in the time of David. We do not know much more about Asaph, and the titles are not an indication of authorship, nor are they of any assistance in dating the psalm.
Well, certainly, I mean, maybe what they're saying is that this is a psalm in his likeness, or a psalm for him, or a psalm that is in honor of him? Who knows?
Yeah, it might be closer in this case to in honor of him because it just like I just read out, he was a temple singer. So that would make a lot of sense, I think.
So, shall we get started?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The mighty one, God, the Lord has spoken and summoned the earth from his rising of the sun to its setting. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God has shone forth.
So
May
I think
sorry.
Yeah, I got one little thing here, and this is just in an Alter's translation, but I think it's pretty great. He actually uses El, the God Lord. Yes, and he comments on this. The grouping of divine names is odd and may be the result of a problem in textual transmission. El Elohim, God, God. Well, no, not exactly. That's not. I don't think that's how it is. Is an unusual combination, and Yahweh, the Lord, ordinarily goes before God, Elohim. I think that it would probably be closer to God of Gods, El Elohim. I think that would make more sense.
Is it possible that we're talking about poetic license here as well, in terms of how this might have flown, or flowed as far as singing or something like that? I mean, I presume this might have been sung if it's a psalm for a singer.
Yeah. Maybe that would probably make it fit, but I don't know the Hebrew, so I couldn't tell you. But apparently, Alter's also kind of confused by the usage there.
And it's all out of order. And this a guy who transcribed this should feel bad.
All right, anyways, let's continue there.
Yeah.
So verse 3, may our God come and not keep silence. Fire devours before him, and it's very tempestuous around him. He summons the heavens above and the earth to judge his people. Gather my goodly ones to me, and those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens declare his righteousness, for God himself is judge.
And then there's a little Salah there.
Salah. There's no Salah in here. Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah,
okay, I was like, that's
weird.
Okay, so we're in the first. Is there any additional comments before we go to the next one, which is actually a longer. The next paragraph is actually almost 8 verses.
Once you get through verse 15, there's a couple things in Erdman's.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's on the sacrifice thing.
So let me read the next paragraph then.
Right.
Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel. I will testify against you. I am God, your God. I do not reprove you for your sacrifices, and your burnt offerings are continually before me. I shall make no young bull out of your house. Take no young bull out of your house, no male goats out of your folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know every bird of the mountains, everything that moves in the field is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all it contains. Shall I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of male goats? I offer to God a sacrifice of thanksgiving and pray your vows to me, the Most High. And I will call upon me in the day of trouble. I shall rescue you, and you will honor me.
No, that's very strange.
Yeah, a lot of sacrifice talk.
Well, in Genesis, God does specifically say
he likes the smell.
That man has dominion over a number of these things.
No, man has dominion over all the earth, but I think, the point is ultimately they're his.
Oh,
he is the creator.
So
every beast of the forest is mine. A cattle on the hills, right? Is they're saying, all mine, 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 mine.
Yeah.
And he said, if I were hungry, for the world is mine and all it contains, and he would just take whatever he wants to.
Yeah, he can do that too. He's done it. He's done it a lot.
But then it says, "Shall I eat of the flesh of the bulls or drink the blood of male goats?" Why? What's male goat blood?
It's a sacrifice, right? Like
this is all sacrificial stuff. Yeah.
One is a food offering, and the other is a blood offering. I think.
Yes, but it's still a Thanksgiving offering.
Right.
Yes, which is the total offerings required for a Thanksgiving offering.
Well, there might be more. I don't remember.
You're right. There could be a couple of those bird splashes.
There's a couple of something else.
There's probably 2 or 3 more steps. But check out what was it again?
It was in Leviticus.
If you really give it.
But it does. After it sort of says, "This is all mine," it says, "Offer to God your sacrifice of thanksgiving and pray your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in trouble. I will rescue you, and you will honor me." Now that's kind of that last part of the phrase is, "I'll rescue you, and you better thank me and be nice and honor me because I don't have an ego. No. All mine, 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 and I don't even need to even ask you to take stuff, and you will sacrifice stuff to me and call upon me, and I'll fix things, but you'll honor me, so mine."
So here's a little note here from Alter,
and then I'm gonna get into Erdman's.
Sure. It is now made clear that God is not calling for a categorical abolition of sacrifices. If a man needs to give thanks to God, or if he has vowed in offering the sacrifice, whether animal or grain, is an appropriate act. But no one should imagine that God somehow depends on sacrifice.
You're not feeding God by doing the sacrifice.
Yeah. That's just a way to say thanks.
And Erdman says, what this passage conveys is that God cannot be manipulated by the sacrifices of his people and is not dependent on them because all the beasts in the field belong to him in any case. God wants his people to recognize his glory and serve him, and to express this by making the sacrifice of thanksgiving in the right spirit. Such people are at a liberty to call upon God in their time of need.
So I feel like this psalm may have been, I don't know if it's from a different tradition or if it was written later, or if it was written after Leviticus, because they were pretty strict about that stuff in Leviticus.
Mm-hmm.
And this is specifically towards people. Actually, they're just regular people. This isn't even about priests.
Right.
So that's interesting. That's neat. Maybe that's something I should look into.
Maybe it is.
Sorry. Go on, guys.
All right. So we have a 7-verse paragraph. Shall I read that now?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 16. But to the wicked, God says, "What right have you to tell of my status, or take my covenant into your mouth? For you hate discipline, and you cast my words behind you. And when you see a thief, you are pleased with him, and you associate with idolaters. And you let your mouth loose in evil, and your tongues flame deceit. You sit and speak against your brother, and you slander your mother's son. These things you have done, and I keep silence. You thought I was just like you. I will reprove you and state the case in order before your eyes." So I will reprove you and state the case in order before your eyes.
So that's very much, there are these bad people in the world.
Yes. And they're bad because Erdman says God's judgment is on them because they are merely paying lip service by outwardly accepting the covenant, which does not find expression in their actions and in their daily life. Yeah. On the contrary, they break all the commandments.
Yeah.
God says, "What right have you to tell of my statutes and take my covenant into your mouth?" In verse 16. So
yeah, and there's talk. It's
you hate discipline and you cast out my words behind you.
Yeah, adultery and being a thief
and speaking ill of your mother's son.
Yeah, I don't remember that one being one of the rules, but
it isn't.
Be nice to your brothers. Remember that.
I don't remember that one.
Now it doesn't say anything about sisters there, but and of course those that are gender fluid and might be of a third gender, it doesn't even deal with that at all. So no. All right. So the last there's no salah there. It's just a paragraph break. So the last paragraph has 2 verses. Verse 22. Now consider this, you who forget God. Speaking of you.
That's me. That's
Lest
us.
I tear you in pieces, and there will be none to deliver. He who offers a sacrifice of thanksgiving honors me, and to him who orders his array outright, I shall show the God of salvation.
And that is the end of Psalm 50.
Yes, it is. And do you hear something?
I do hear something. Landon, do you hear something?
Static. I thought your sound system was fixed.
I thought it was too. This is horrendous.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this before.
Ooh.
Behold, I am your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I want to let all you heathens and sinners know that I support this wonderful episode of Atheist Sunday School. Lawrence and Reuben try their very best to bring you the true glory of the Bible, and they need your help. They have provided links to their Patreon page and other social media just for you. Once again, my name is Jesus Christ, and this is Milwaukee Atheists. The Lord is with them. God bless.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. That
is
so amazing.
So kind.
Thanks, Jesus.
And just right after it says, I shall show the salvation of God, right?
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, that makes it consider this, you who forget God. Shame. Anyway.
Yep. You who forget God.
So there is some interesting stuff about this verse, and I want to read out just a little introductory thing before we get into it.
Okay.
And this is from Witherington. One of the problems with Psalm 51 is that it is too familiar to Christians. At the time of the Reformation, Luther appealed to this psalm to demonstrate his doctrine of justification by grace through faith. The temptation is to see this psalm as about someone becoming a Christian, repenting of his sins, but actually it is no such thing. David, or the psalmist who wrote this, is a committed and devout Israelite who has also committed some major sins and is asking God for forgiveness. He's not asking to be born again and receive the Holy Spirit. He's asking that God not take his presence out of his life, which was already there. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing to keep in mind, that people like to misuse this psalm. They like to take it out of context, even though they like to preach how important context is to them.
Yeah.
And then every time I'm like, but what about the context? They're like, that's not important.
It's not important.
Not
to
that
them.
Context.
It's ridiculous.
That context is not contextually relevant.
Yeah.
No, the
Context-
other context.
Context is only important depending on the context.
Yeah, context depends upon the context in which context is contexted.
Yes.
Contextualized, Landon.
Anyway, Psalm 51. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, when Nathan the prophet came unto him after he had gone into Bathsheba. Do you remember?
Yes, do you?
Vaguely.
Yeah. So here's just to refresh all our memories. Lucky for us, Altar has a note on it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. The superscription incorporates a barbed pun. The Hebrew verb for both Nathan and David is to come to or into. But in the former instance, it refers to the prophets entering the king's chamber, whereas the latter instance reflects its sexual sense, to have intercourse with a woman, probably intercourse for the first time. The strong character of this poem as a confessional psalm led the editors to attribute it to David when he was stricken with remorse after Nathan rebuked him for sleeping with Bathsheba and murdering her husband. Second Samuel 12. But in all likelihood, this psalm is a general penitential psalm composed centuries after David.
Penitential.
If the reference to the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem is the penultimate verse, in the penultimate verse is an integral part of the original psalm and not an editorial addition, the text would have to date sometime after 586 BCE. In any case, the idea of offering God a broken spirit instead of sacrifice looks as though it may have been influenced by the later prophetic literature. That makes sense. The eloquent confessional mode of this psalm has made it an important liturgical vehicle for both Christians and Jews. It is one of the 7 penitential psalms in church ritual. The wrenching plea of verse 13 is used in the introduction to the penitential prayer during the Jewish days of awe.
So there's the high holy days.
Yep.
Rosh Hashanah.
Amazing.
Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, let's get into it. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness. According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wave me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, thee only, have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and might be clear when thou judgest. Behold!
Behold!
I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me.
And there is something interesting here about this one. So it's kind of, playing off of the whole original sin thing. Like, because, the verse you just read, in sin my mother conceived me.
Yes.
So that is, very much sounding like original sin.
Well, it could also be literally that his mother was an unmarried woman.
Yeah, that is also true.
Harlot,
Yeah, that's also true. That could be the case. But if it's talking about more of the original sin, there are, other places in the Bible that, or in the Old Testament, I should say, that do kind of sound like they're for original sin. But it's also important to note that there are verses that are against original sin. There's one in Ezekiel, I think. I forget the exact verse. But it's the opposite of original sin. So it's just all very interesting stuff.
Yes.
Anyways, let's continue.
Behold.
We already did that one.
Behold. And by the way, let's get some beholds in the live chat there too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You have to say behold in the live chat when we say behold.
Yes.
It's a tradition.
Thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
So is hyssop like they're not like doing a beating of the skin? Isn't it sort of like a scratching the skin surface off, or?
So hyssop was used in a ritual of purification. The priests dipped the hyssop branch in the blood of a sacrificial animal, then sprinkled it on the impure object or person to expunge the impurity. That's Leviticus 14. The fine hairs on hyssop leaves may have prevented the blood from congealing. Alternately, hyssop was used to sprinkle water, Numbers 19. Hold on. Yeah, it was used to sprinkle water to remove impurities. The claim made by some scholars that this psalm is therefore a liturgical text for a rite of purification is not altogether convincing, because hyssop, familiar to the audience from such ceremonies, could easily have been invoked as a symbol of as a symbol of a process of purification that is spiritual, not ritual in nature. Such a move from ritual to spiritual is strongly etched in verses 18 and 19, which we'll talk about it when we get there, but those are probably later additions.
That's at the end of the song.
Yeah.
Okay. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from
Don't do
me.
it, Lord. Don't do it.
Don't you do it. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. Yes,
maybe
blood guiltiness.
Yeah, maybe Judas should have read this psalm.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yep.
New Testament joke. We got him.
O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of the righteousness, with burnt offerings and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. The end of Psalm 51. Very interesting.
Two beholds, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Two beholds and a contrite sinner prayer for pardon.
Yes. And, build the wall. That was apparently a later addition.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yep, by Donald Trump.
So let's talk about those last two verses. The poem, until this moment, at the end, has been entirely concerned with the remorseful confession of an individual. So this prayer for the rebuilding of Jerusalem looks suspiciously like a conclusion added by an editor. And then for the next verse, then shall you desire just sacrifices. In the rebuilt Jerusalem, this would seem to be the specific implication of the repeated then. We may infer a rebuilt temple, it will once again be possible to offer sacrifices. The single word just might be a stretch, harmonize this concluding verse with 18 and 19, but it's because in this one it's different, it's 20 and 21. But it seems more likely that an editor, uneasy with the outright rejection or at least downgrading of sacrifices expressed in the psalm, added this line at the end to reaffirm the idea that God desires sacrifices, at least if they are just ones.
All right. And if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the stuff. All of it.
Click that bell.
Yeah, I see 18 viewers. I should see 18 likes and or dislikes.
Yeah, either one. That's fine. We appreciate it all.
It's unfortunate, I think, that they don't allow you to both like and dislike.
Yeah, what a shame. I would do that all the time.
I would.
Yeah,
I would too.
I want to express a neutral answer, but I don't want it to be no answer. That's not good enough. It's got to be
like, yeah, whatever. Yes and no, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
like
So it sounds like you could use the word splunge.
splunge. How did that work?
Yeah. It means yes, and it means no, and it doesn't mean you're indecisive.
Oh, very, very good.
Monty Python.
Okay.
I was wondering where he got it from.
All right. So how about that was Psalm 51. How about we jump right into Psalm 52?
Sure.
Take it off, Lawrence.
Do you really think I should do that here on this show?
Obviously, it'll get us so many viewers. No. Don't do it.
Oh, man, I was about to. To the choir master, a maskil of David. When Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul, David has come to the house of Ahimelech.
So there are a few things.
Great. Love it. I love this commentary.
Eerdmans says the title, when Doeg the Edomite came to Saul, links the psalm to 1 Samuel 22, which contains an account of how Doeg betrayed David. It is by no means certain that this title was originally part of the psalm. It is more likely that the content of Psalm 52, especially verses 1 through 4, which deal with slander and vilification, gave a later editor the opportunity to link the psalm with the name of Doeg, who was known as an arch traitor.
I like it.
Arch traitor.
I like
Is that like a traitor or
Arch
traitor?
like a
Traitor.
really big traitor?
Yeah, an arch traitor.
He trades traitors.
Yeah.
That's
How
how.
do you mean like traitor?
No, not a traitor. A traitor.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Traitor.
he betrays traitors.
I guess.
Man, that guy's
That would be a meta traitor,
He's a meta
not
traitor.
an arch traitor.
Meta trader sounds like a great name.
Yeah. You know what? That's what I'm naming my kid.
Meta trader.
Yes.
Wow,
I love it.
it sounds appropriate.
I'll name mine, which I'm not going to have one. Arch Trader. That's a great name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Arch is a wonderful first name.
That's true.
And Trader is clearly better than my last name.
And Alter says Doeg is the informer who sees the fleeing David take refuge with the priest Ahimelech and Nob, then denounces Ahimelech to Saul, 1 Samuel 21 through 22. Saul's response is to massacre all the priests of Nob.
Of course.
Lethal effect of Doeg's words may have especially encouraged the editor to create the connection with this psalm in the superscription. Though the fit with the content of the psalm is far from perfect, Doeg causes harm through his report, but does not in fact speak in deceit, and the sarcastic address to the man boasting of evil as warrior is not exactly appropriate for him. Which we'll get into while you read the psalm.
Yep. Why do you boast of evil, O mighty man? The steadfast love of God endures all the day. Your tongue plots destruction like a sharp razor, your worker of deceit. You love evil more than good, and lying more than speaking what is right. Selah.
Salah.
Well, these kinds of metaphors, like your tongue plots destruction, like a sharp razor, you worker of deceit, stuff like that. Do you remember in high school where I would write songs and they would have bad metaphors like that?
Oh, yeah, they would.
Yeah, horrible.
Hey, you weren't the first to do it.
I wasn't.
Nope. And unfortunately,
Blame the Bible.
you won't be the last.
Yeah. Did you have anything to say on that or no?
No.
Okay.
Just hashtag blame the Bible.
Yes, just hashtag blame the Bible.
Well, actually, for verse 7?
Not there yet.
6? Okay.
All right,
keep going.
Yeah. I'll get through this next thing, and then we'll get into it. You love all words that devour, O deceitful tongue. But God will break you down forever. He will snatch and tear you from your tent. He will uproot you from the land of the living. Selah.
So for that, Alter says God will surely smash you forever, sweep you up, and tear you from the tent and root you out from the land of the living. He says
like that.
about it, for sweep you up, the root of the declined verb yachtaka is ambiguous. It might instead derive from a verbal stem meaning reduce to rubble. Either way, the line produces an image of violent destruction.
Yeah. The righteous shall see and fear, and shall laugh at him, saying, See the man who would not make God his refuge, but trusted in the abundance of his own riches, and sought refuge in his own destruction. So that was 6 and 7.
Yeah, so it says for this, and it's all different actually, much.
Well, yeah.
But that's my verse 9.
Wow.
And it says the verb ya'az for would be strong in his disaster. That's the end of verse 9. The end of your verse 7 is roughly similar.
Yeah.
It says the verb ya'az obviously plays against the noun ma'az, stronghold, which has just been used. Its employment here is evidently sardonic. Such a man imagines foolishly that he will remain strong in his disaster.
Yeah, fucking idiot. Didn't he read that other psalm that we were reading before?
Apparently not.
So I guess not. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the steadfast love of God forever and ever.
So Eerdman says the comparison with the olive tree introduces the idea of fertility, abundance, and stability, while the evildoer trusts as well to provide security. The righteous trusts in the steadfast love of God.
Also, olive trees were very popular in ancient Israel.
Yes.
Yeah. They were, selling olives was, that was a big trade item.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Alter says that the olive tree is a standard symbol for prosperity and peace.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right, so olive tree. I trust in the steadfast love of God forever and ever. I will thank you forever because you have done it. I will wait for your name, for it is good in the presence of the godly.
And that's the end of this psalm.
That's the end of that psalm.
An interesting thing about this psalm.
I have his thy godly ones is what mine ends with.
Oh. Well, an interesting thing about this psalm is that according to Eerdmans, it's impossible to place Psalm 52 in any of the traditional genres.
Yeah, it is kind of strange.
Yeah. But with that being said, unless you have anything further to say,
I got nothing.
let's get into Psalm 53 and let Landon do it for us.
Yes, Landon, the burden falls on you for this final reading today.
This out. So a Psalm 53 says, a folly and wickedness of men. For the choir director, according to a Maskell of David. Any other comments on the
yes, actually there was you go first.
Okay.
Mahala.
Well, before we get into it, Psalm 53 is identical with a few exceptions to Psalm 14. In this discussion, we merely point out one of the most striking differences between the Psalms. It's that one talks about the Lord being their refuge in Psalm 14, and this one talks about people God has rejected. So,
and yes.
I'll just finish this one, then you can bounce off of that. This psalm is a duplication of Psalm 14 in keeping with the general practice of the editor in the second book of Psalms. God, Elohim, is consistently substituted for Yahweh, the Lord, in Psalm 14. The other changes are limited with the exception of verse 6. The divergences from Psalm 14 are noted below. For other remarks on the poem, the reader is referred to the commentary on Psalm 14, which we have too, because it's all right here.
Yeah. And because it's not going to be any more or less relevant later on in the psalm, I'll just read this part from Erdman's here. Although the Hebrew text of Psalm 53 contains numerous problems and... Oh, well, that refers to a specific part of the text. Why don't you start reading it, actually, and stop me when you get to the end of verse 6.
Okay. Which is verse 6 is it's only a 6 verse. Okay.
Oh, yeah, in hours.
I must say also this it in my Bible it says alternative title would be for the choir director according to a sad tone or sickness.
Oh. Well,
that's so sad.
Eerdmans does say about the title that it's different from Psalm 14, but there's no certainty about the words Mahalat.
Yeah, maybe in just another weird musical instrument.
Yeah. So for the choir director according to Mahalat could also be said as choir director according to a sad tone. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to point out, by the way, on verse 1, that verse 1 is often quoted to atheists when they debate Christians.
Yes, it is.
So, verse 1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt and have committed an abominable injustice. There is no one who does good.
Yeah, and I think I remember when we were discussing Psalm 14, we were actually talking about what it meant in context, about what they meant about having no God. It doesn't have to be that you're an atheist. It has to be that you are acting like, you're spitting in the face of God kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you remember that. Go watch our discussion on that. We had not just about theism or religion. It's not about that. It's about the people who specifically just do bad things for the sake of doing bad things.
Right.
Yeah,
and
they say there's no God and we can get away with it, type of thing. Right?
Yeah.
Because you look.
Well, it's not that they're saying that there is no God. In those earlier sections that we were going over, it's that they think he's not going to do anything about it. They do believe in God, but it's just that they think he's good for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, it says, a fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have committed abominable injustice. There is no one who does good. Verse 2 goes on to say, God has looked down from heaven upon the sons of men to see if there's anyone who understands, who seeks after God. Every one of them has turned aside. Together they have become corrupt. There is no one who does good, not even one.
Yeah, see? Not even one.
Not even one.
One was so good, though.
Hey, guess what? You know what that includes? That includes the Christians.
Ooh.
Well, the King James Version says there is none that doeth good. And it's clearly in reference to these non-believing.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the first paragraph. Second paragraph, verse 4. Have the workers of wickedness no knowledge, who eat up my people as though they ate bread, and have not called upon God? There they are in great fear, where no fear has been. For God scattered the bones of him who encamped against you, and put them to shame, because God has rejected them. Oh, that salvation of Israel would come out of Zion. When God restores his captive people, let Jacob rejoice. Let Israel be glad.
All right, so we can talk about quite a few things here.
Yeah. Yes. Let me just read this bit from Erdman's.
Go ahead,
although
buddy.
the Hebrew text of Psalm 53:5 contains numerous problems and is therefore difficult to interpret, it is nevertheless possible to define the difference between the two psalms as follows. Psalm 14:5-6 concentrates on God's relationship with the righteous. God is the protector of the poor, but in Psalm 53:5, there is greater emphasis on God's wrath towards the ungodly.
Yeah.
Strong terms are used to describe God's acts of destruction. Quote, "For God will scatter the bones of the ungodly."
Yeah. It says that there is great fear for them whom no fear has been. God has scattered the bones of him who is camped against you and put them to shame because God has rejected them.
Yes. And Eerdmans goes on to say, although in Psalms 14 and 53 they're virtually identical, there is a cardinal difference in the manner in which God is described. The difference is so great that the existence of two separate psalms is justified. There is a possibility that one of the psalms originally formed part of a smaller collection and was subsequently incorporated into the larger collection of psalms. Each psalm probably had its own unique function within its original context.
So, looking more, let's take a little bit more detailed look into that. So for this, for that verse there was no fear. The least strained way to construe this clause, which does not appear in Psalm 14, is as implying but. They, presumably the Israelites, were afraid, but it turned out that there was no reason to fear. And then, for God scattered the bones of your besieger. Psalm 14 here reads, for God is with the righteous band. The word for besieger is literally your camper, the one who encamped against you. The defeat of besiegers has led some interpreters to see in this line a reference to the frustrated siege on Jerusalem of Sennacherib, but that is pure conjecture. Yeah, I agree. It could be that, but that's really just guesswork. You put them to shame, for God spurned you. Psalm 14 reads, in your plot against the poor you are shamed, for the Lord is his shelter. In both Psalms, the grammar of the verb of shame is problematic. So that's really, the main section where there's difference. There's smaller differences throughout that he notes, but they're really small.
Yes.
Yeah, like all are tainted. In verse 4, I think that would be verse 2 for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd say it's kind of interesting how it ends with this. Oh, that salvation of Israel would come out of Zion when God restores his captive people. Let Jacob rejoice. Let Israel be glad. It's a very. I mean, it's almost sort of saying, I guess talking about the restoration of Israel and so forth is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Would this have been pre or post captivity in Babylon?
Well, this one, it could be either or. Honestly, there's not really that much. I'm gonna guess post. But that's really, I'm just kind of guessing there. Mm-hmm. But it would fit in with that, I think. No, I don't think Erdman's comments on it, on the date. Alter doesn't comment on the date. But I find it kind of strange here that, it's initially about morality in general.
Yes.
But then it starts to turn into a thing about the salvation of the city.
Yeah.
So that does kind of seem a little out of place there. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, a city only needs salvation because of the personal moral failings of the agents within that city.
Oh.
Sure, but it's just weird to have that thrown in there without any other exposition, but okay. Like, they're not saying anything about, like, Israel is just being like so undermined by this.
Right. Well, it's probably the case that 14 was written first.
I mean, I am not 100% sure.
I'm not 100% sure that the things that I see in front of my face are real.
Fine.
You know,
yes, we'll continue to have ultimate skepticism.
All right, but that is the end of the show for today. How about we do some shilling stuff?
yes.
Hey, if you guys enjoyed the stream, drop a like, share, subscribe if you haven't for whatever reason you haven't done that yet. Yes,
Click the bell.
The bell is very important if you want to be here all the time.
Check us out on BitChute.
BitChute, yes.
Yep. And check out our Friday show.
Yes, the Friday show is fun.
I watched the Friday show on BitChute and hope that it has the most recent shows.
They're getting
they
slowly uploaded.
Yeah.
Lawrence is in charge of it because he has the data.
Well, actually, Chris has the data.
Oh.
He moved everything over to the hard drive. So
okay. We're gonna have that soon.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a safe space.
Just giving a hint. Just giving a hint.
Yeah. What else? Okay, so shilling stuff. We got Facebook.
We got an Amazon wish list.
We got an Amazon wish list. We have a Twitter as well. You can follow us on those. The Amazon wish list is great, especially if you want to see a video on something.
If you want to buy us more books for us to read.
It's exclusively books on there.
Yeah. We could add more stuff.
We
like
could,
a bookshelf.
Like a bookshelf. We got Patreon too. Like after the show, we're doing a patron hangout.
Yes, we are.
Landon's gonna be there. Maybe some other people are gonna be there. And if you guys want to join in on that, you can become a $20 or more patron, and you will be in the hangout with us. We'll just be all chilling.
We talk about all sorts of things. We talk about the universe, life, philosophy, and trivial stuff too. So it's a wide range of yakking.
Yeah.
It is like prime cut shit posting.
Oh, nice.
All right, so let's see. We got the Patreon, the wish list, Teespring. Lots of stuff on Teespring.
Yeah,
if you want 10%,
T-shirts like this.
Yes,
Like that
one of those
t-shirt, you can get
fantastic T-shirts, Laurentium, Rubinium, and many other
Those are
T-shirts.
real elements.
Yes, they are. And until the end of the month, you get 10% off if you use the promo code LOOK. Because it is the discount Behold.
Yes, Behold was 20% off.
But that's gone.
That's gone. You still got Look.
It's close. It's close.
Still got Look.
It's not as impressive nearly.
No.
LOOK.
Yes, Look. And if we missed anything, all the other links are going to be in the description. Stay tuned for the videos we have coming out. And until we have a new graphic, we will see you on Sunday.
Or Friday.
Or Friday. Friday works too.
Yeah.